The story starts a few years after the aliens attacked Moscow. The attack claimed many lives, but humans managed to defeat the invading forces. After the attack, governments around the world united and created a network of satellites around the globe to protect it. However, one ship still gets close to the Earth without getting detected, and it even releases an object that falls straight into the ocean near Finland. In Moscow, Julia is the only person who had contact with the aliens. She even became intimate with one of them, and that's why she has been kept under government surveillance. She spends her days at the university with her best friend Google, and then they are driven home by her father, General Lebedev. She isn't allowed to go anywhere alone, and they keep her inside the Ministry of Defense. The Russian government has taken control of all the alien technology left behind and is testing the alien suits to create weapons. They even performed tests on Julia, who developed some supernatural powers after the attack. She can control water whenever she gets angry. The doctors remind her of her ex-boyfriend Artyom, who tried to assassinate her during the attack. They also mention the alien named Hariton, who died after the invasion. All of this is making Julia stressed, and it goes to another level when Artyom is brought into the room. She starts screaming at the doctors to let her go, and she even makes all the water fly in her rage. She's angry at her father, who is supervising all these tests. She wants to go home alone that night without any guards. Lebedev agrees, but he still asks a loyal soldier named Ivan to keep an eye on her. Julia spends the night drinking heavily at a bar in the city. She eventually spots Ivan and knows that he's a soldier. She offers him a drink and tells him that she's sorry that he has to look after a girl of no significance. He tells her that he has protected all kinds of evil warlords in Africa, so he can protect an innocent girl happily. They're about to have a drink when all of a sudden Hariton comes there. Julia is in shock to see him, and Ivan tries to take Hariton down, but Julia hits him in the head with a vodka bottle. They use this chance to get out of the bar, and Hariton contacts his ship. His ship takes control of a smart car and brings it towards the couple who gets inside. The people inside the car are confused, and Ivan is also trying to stop their path, but the car gets out of there. Ivan's chasing after it on his bike, and he also tells Lebedev about the whole situation. He keeps up with the vehicle through all the mayhem, and on a bridge, he shoots down one of its tires. However, he gets into an accident, and this is when Hariton's ship takes control of another car to save Ivan's life. Hariton manages to escape with Julia, and they get to his cabin in the middle of nowhere. He tells Julia that she has to go away with him because she's not safe on Earth anymore. He claims to have been on Earth for 123 days and proudly says that he has a job, a house, and a garden. She doesn't know how he survived, but she is still happy to see him, and they spend a romantic night together. Meanwhile, Hariton's ship is swallowed by a bigger spaceship that has entered orbit. In the morning, Julia makes a video call to her father and explains that she has to leave the planet for everyone's safety. He gives her permission to go, but also traces her call and sends special forces to the location. So when Hariton and Julia are having pancakes, the special forces surround the cabin and ask for orders. Lebedev orders them to not shoot at anyone, but the spaceship manipulates his message and gives the order to shoot at sight. So the gunfight starts, and Hariton has to take down the special OPS soldiers to save their lives. He takes Julia to the canal, where his smaller ship is hiding underwater. They're getting into this alien ship when Julia gets shot in her shoulder. He flies away from that place, but pretty soon, the spaceship gives the order to a missile defense system and it shoots a rocket at Hariton's craft. Hariton has to use water to get rid of the rocket, but his aircraft starts falling towards the city. Meanwhile, Lebedev is rushing towards the city because he doesn't know what's going on. Artyom uses this opportunity to get into the alien suit and get out of the building. In the city, military helicopters are shooting at Hariton's ship that's now underwater. They shoot a missile and the ship flies out of the water and falls onto the streets. There, Artyom takes down the helicopter to save Julia's life. By the time Lebedev gets to the ship, Hariton has left with Julia, who is now bleeding profusely. They encounter Artyom and he wants to help. Hariton says that Julia needs water, so Artyom steals a car and gets them out of the city. On their way, Harriton explains that the spaceship that's causing all of this is called Ra, and it's a machine that manipulates digital information to cause havoc among civilizations. He says that Ra wants to eliminate Julia and they have to stop it. Lebedev, on the other hand, is furious when he attends the meeting of the Security Council. He is told by other generals that he is the one who gave orders to take out Julia. They also see a video of Julia who claims responsibility for a blast inside the city that killed 24 people. Lebedev finally realizes that they are under a cyber attack and they need to stop exchanging information digitally. He knows that extraterrestrial beings are responsible for all of it, and he intends to use all force against them. Harriton, on the other hand, is trying to buy water for Julia when he sees that everyone around him is receiving the same message on their cell phones. The message is that Julia has taken lives and she has to be eliminated. It is all over the news, and Ra is the one behind it. So as soon as he gets back to the car, Artyom gets out of the area and evades the cops who are chasing them. Ivan, on the other hand, gets a call from his wife, where he too is told that Julia hurt his son and he has to eliminate her. All this fake news makes Julia a primary target, so she is taken to Google's house, who hides all three of them. There, Harriton uses water to heal Julia's wounds, and he explains how Julia has a special power and it can cause a lot of chaos. That's why Ra is trying to eliminate her. Harriton has dinner with all of them, where Artyom forces him to drink a lot and even drugs him. When Harriton passes out, Artyom tells Google that they have to take the alien to Lebedev, otherwise they will be serving prison for being alien spies. So the duo drags Harriton and gets him into a cab that takes them straight to the Ministry of Defense. The army is using large screens to tell everyone that they should not trust what they are hearing on news. Lebedev eventually meets Harriton and he asks him to choose between Julia or his own world. He wants Harriton's help to locate the hidden ship. Harriton gives him the coordinates and Lebedev confirms it with some observatories. He sends Ivan to bring Julia to the ministry. Meanwhile, he asks the council to give permission for a missile attack on the spaceship. The council hesitantly agrees to it, so Lebedev takes over a private telecom network and uses their satellites to silently attack the spaceship. The rocket lands on the target and everyone is celebrating because apparently it succeeded. Julia, on the other hand, is being brought to the ministry by Ivan, who says that he cannot forgive her for what she did to his son. He is still trying to do his job and he brings her back but resigns on the spot. Julia is explaining everything to her father when Harriton receives a call from Ra, who says that now it has to act aggressively. Outside the ministry, people can see a giant storm forming up in the sky. Pretty soon, the spaceship comes into view. A water dome starts to form up and it surrounds a part of the city. It also hides the spaceship from all kinds of attacks. Ra announces that a lot of people will die only because humans fail to eliminate Julia. Inside the dome, the water levels start to rise up and there are floods everywhere. People are trying to save their lives by climbing tall buildings and finding things that can float. The Air Force has planes in the air, but their missiles cannot penetrate the water wall that surrounds the spaceship. Amidst all of this, Lebedev orders Harriton to take Julia away on the choppers. However, Harriton wants to help, so he only makes Julia go. He tells Lebedev that he can crash his smaller ship into Ra to take it down. Lebedev takes Harriton to his ship and agrees to help him in navigation. So Harriton leaves in his ship while Lebedev is telling him where to go. Julia, on the other hand, is in the helicopter with Artyom and she can see how water is rising, and pretty soon it will touch the ceiling of the dome. The helicopter hits some wires and starts crashing, so Artyom jumps into the water with Julia. Harriton is getting closer and closer to the wall and he asks Lebedev's permission to live with Julia if they manage to survive. Lebedev says that they aren't going to survive, but if they do, Harriton can live with his daughter. This is when the water gets too high and Lebedev gets trapped. Harriton gets close to Ra and he tries his best to crash his ship into it, but it's not working. The water is keeping his smaller ship away from Ra. Julia, on the other hand, sees Ivan, who wants to shoot her because it can stop all of this. He knows what he has to do, and he even shoots Artyom, who is trying to protect Julia. However, Ivan doesn't want to shoot her, and she eventually drowns along with everyone else. This is when her hidden powers come to life and waves of water surround Ra. The water around the spaceship starts to vanish, and the Air Force can see that. So the Council orders all the available jets to shoot at the ship, and their missiles are now landing. They eventually bring a large bomber that drops a huge warhead on top of the spaceship, and this brings Ra down. Immediately, the water starts leaking from the dome that's now disappearing, and after a while, the survivors can see the destruction around them. Harriton somehow finds Julia, but they're both sad to see that Artyom is dead. After some time, Lebedev is attending a fake funeral for his daughter. He then gets on a helicopter that takes him to the wilderness of Russia. There, he meets Harriton and Julia, who are standing on the shore of a lake. Harriton says that Julia has to leave the planet, and that's when she puts her hands in the lake and the water gets disturbed. The film ends with all of them staring as a giant spaceship emerges from the water.